Hello. Welcome.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome to our crazy
back.
live
Sunday
stream.
night, just in case somebody doesn't know that.
Crazy.
As you can see, my beautiful sister is still on vacation.
Yeah.
Everybody knows you're not. Everybody knows you're not. She's trying to
I'm
show me
surfing.
something earlier. But you don't do this. You do this. Balancing. Not this. No wonder you fall over all the time.
So, Vanna, just to let you know, it's a great day today. How was your day
There's
today?
not a cloud in the sky.
Your day a good day today? I had a good day today. Thank you.
Did you have a good day today?
I had a good day today. How was your day today?
It was a good day today.
We had an awesome day today.
Oh
spent
yeah,
some time in
we're
the
so
sun.
lively. I think my
Yeah.
sister had a nap
Played
today.
with the dogs. Had a nice day.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I hope everybody else had a great day. Not as much of a great day as we have, because we had a great day. Hi, Jay.
What a day.
Love you, Jay. Jay, if Jay,
Hey, Jay, welcome,
if Jay
brother.
was here, Jay would have a great day too.
But since he
Jay,
wasn't
I
there,
hope
Hope you had a great day,
Jay.
brother.
Yeah, so make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with your friends. Go ahead and copy the URL and plaster it all over the place. Get the word out.
Help us
Share,
reach more
share,
people.
share.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's going to be cool today. Because we're going to kind of talk more about what we were talking about last week.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to turn up the volume.
Ah, she turns you down.
I turned him up.
She turns you down.
I'm going to put you on mute.
See? I knew
Well,
it.
hey, if
I
if
don't know what
it's
she's
too
doing
loud,
over there.
I'd
She's like,
turn it
I think
down
I'm going to
too."
take a 15-minute nap, and then turns the volume down. She just, I told you, everybody tells on themselves. She just told on herself. She says, I'm going to turn up the volume.
She pays
this
attention.
time.
She interacts. I'm
Yeah,
sure
she
she's
does.
Still
I'm sure she's
there.
listening.
You're still there.
Mute, mute.
You're stuck, dude. You're so stuck with me. Ever.
So,
Anyway,
welcome everyone.
let's get started.
Welcome to Bible Prophecy and Truth. If you're new
Mhm.
here, on Sundays we talk about current events in the world and prophetic implications and discuss different different
I'm looking at my
prophecies of the
internet
Bible.
connection. I'm looking at my internet connection.
Oh, she's looking at her internet connection.
Okay. But last week we were talking about quite a bit of stuff actually, but we were talking about how, the Muslims are waiting for their hidden imam to come and show himself, and they're saying that he's actually here now, and they're ready for the man, which will be almost certainly the biblical Antichrist. It'll be the Mahdi of Islam.
So, have they even given a hint to where they think he's located or who he is?
Well, the 12ers think he's going to come crawling out of a well that he's been hidden in for 1,400
Oh, they just think
years.
he's present, but they don't know who it is yet.
They don't know yet, I guess.
Okay, that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, it's
Do they
interesting.
believe that their Mahdi is coming back at the same time Jesus is coming back?
You're breaking up.
Yeah. I would say
Uh-oh.
yes. I would say yes. Hey, Lainey.
Hey,
It's
Lainey,
nice
welcome.
to see you.
Lainey and
And
company.
Mom. Yeah, company. Yeah, Lainey.
Yeah,
and company.
welcome.
Hello.
So I didn't hear what you said.
She was saying, do they think that their Mahdi is coming at the same time that we're expecting Jesus to return?
Jesus is coming back. Do they believe that?
Well, they believe,
They
and we're going to
believe
talk
it.
about that today, because the Muslim Jesus is going to be almost certainly, I say almost certainly because I can't say 100% absolute positive until it happens. But everything the Bible shows us and everything that's going on in the world right now shows us that the Muslim Jesus is going to be the false prophet of the Bible, the man that supports the Antichrist, which will be their Mahdi. And we're going to talk about that today. It's really interesting. We're going to kind of continue talking about what we were talking about last week. And so let me share my screen and we'll go forward. And you got to get rid of the floating meeting controls. All right, so I'm going to start here though, because if I can click properly. So last week, I said that I would post this aliens or demons. I was talking about the astrophysicist that actually talks about how UFOs, all of his research that he's done basically points to the same thing that I've always said, is that aliens and UFOs are just demons pretending. They're fooling people. And I talked about it last week and I promised I would post this and I did. So it's on my channel on YouTube and Rumble. And I think I posted it on Facebook as well. I'm pretty sure I did. So if you want to watch it, it's there. It's a really good it's a really good interview. And because he was an astrophysicist, I'll give you this short. He was an astrophysicist that kind of accidentally became a UFO expert because he was like the low-level astronomer in the universities. And so they gave him all the stuff they didn't want to do, which was responding to all the UFO reports. And he said that 99% of them could be explained in some way, but there's a 1% residual that falls into a different category, and basically determined that it was real, but not real. If you know what I'm saying. They're actual demons pretending to be physical objects. And it's a fascinating interview. It's only 11 minutes 43 seconds, so give it a watch if you want to. But today I'm going to continue on this subject of where we're at in the world right now, and prophetically, and where the Muslims think we are, and where the Catholics think we are, and everyone else, and more specifically going to be talking about the false prophet today and the Muslim Jesus, because there's two men in biblical prophecy. There's the Antichrist and there's the false prophet. And the false prophet supports the Antichrist and does miracles to fool the world into believing he's from God. And we're going to talk more about that, but let me start at the top here, because this idea of coexist it's really a lie from Satan. And I hope everyone watching already understands that the idea of interfaithism, as we talked about that last week too. We talked about this Interfaith Temple that Pope Francis says, they just opened it up last year, and it's Judaism, Islam, and Catholicism all in one area with their 3 different buildings, and trying to create this one world religion, which is part of Catholic prophecy. And I say Catholic because it's not biblical prophecy, it's a Catholic prophecy. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But the whole idea of coexistence is purely a Western belief. And I say that because the Vatican promotes interfaithism. Pope Francis, when he was elected as the Pope, he hit the ground running, just bam, and started working on this interfaith agenda immediately. And he's been pushing it for years and years and years, and he's really is making great strides. And Article 841 of the Catechism states that Muslims will be saved just like Christians. And we're going to talk about that because the Muslim Jesus, the Muslim belief in Jesus Christ is completely and utterly different than the biblical Jesus Christ. And we're going to talk more about that. But I start with this coexist because it's such and there's so many disillusioned people. And I saved this because this happened a few years back where especially the younger generation believe in this, the idea of this is an actual true story of an American couple that thought evil was just this make-believe concept. And so they went to a Muslim country to bike across the country and prove how it really was just a safe, wonderful place. And they were murdered by ISIS there because they were wrong. Evil is not a make-believe concept. There are lots of evil people in the world. And, it doesn't just come from demons and from Satan. There are plenty of people that are just downright mean, evil people. And I can say that with certainty because I've met them. I've known people in my past that just had no conscience at all.
Yeah.
And were just mean. I can't even say it. They're just evil. They exist. And after this story here, it was like 2 or 3 years later, there was another American couple, young couple just like them, that thought the same thing, that I'm going to go prove that Muslims don't really hate us. And so they went to a Muslim country and were murdered again. There's two identical stories a few years apart. And it's this idea of coexistence. That everybody really is just a loving, wonderful being. Everybody just has, issues from their past. And, if you show them love, everyone will just be loving and wonderful back. Well, that's, if you've been around as long as I have, that is not true. There's some people that have absolutely no love in their hearts whatsoever. And we know that God is love. Without God, we can't really truly love the way God does. But we've got to dispel this idea. And it's unfortunately the youth of the Western world are, especially here in the United States anyway, are like convinced that that this idea of evil doesn't exist. But I don't even know how they can think that, but they do. And it's the idea of interfaithism is also purely Western. It's purely the Christian side, because Muslims have no such belief. In fact, as I've got in my headline here, Islam does not give. That coexistence is not mutual. Islam only takes, because there's no give at all in this interfaith dialogue with Catholicism and Islam. It's all about Catholicism conceding and giving concession and giving in to Islam. It has nothing to do with Islam changing in any way. And that's why I have this, because it's so fitting. The idea that Muslims can coexist. And I did a little YouTube video the other day. If you haven't seen it yet, please give it a watch. It's can a good Muslim be a good American? And because absolutely not. And if you watch that, it explains why not, based on their doctrine. But Muslims don't believe in interfaithism. In fact, Muslims, I'm going to tell you what Muslims do right now. It's this thing called taqiyya. And taqiyya is a doctrine in Islam, specifically that they can use deception to promote Islam. It's a doctrine they have where it's not only okay to lie, that they should lie. And I've got an article on my website about this where, that what it means, where it is in their doctrines, where it is in the Hadith and the Sunnah and the Quran, and how deception and lying in Islam is actually promoted. And they're told, to gain the trust of non-believers in order to draw out their vulnerability and defeat them. This is the purpose of taqiyya. It's deception in order to defeat their enemies. And it's, they do not believe in coexistence at all. They're lying to us. And this is the true Islam right here. This is just a small sampling of these demonstrations and the beliefs and what they do, and it's like I showed you that sad story of that young couple that was murdered, because this is exactly what they do. They think of us as lesser and not even human in some cases. They teach that Jews are just donkeys and pigs, and that Christians are just, they call us the people of the book, and we're just misguided, and they're told in their doctrine to kill us if we won't convert. And they're chanting death to America, death to Israel. Jihad is not just the extremists, it's the doctrine of Islam. It's jihad. It's waging war to dominate the world. And that's what their prophecies, the prophecies that Satan gave them to mimic the Bible's prophecies, says that they're going to win. They're going to dominate the world in the end. That their Mahdi is going to bring that about. And this is who they're waiting for with universal anticipation in the Muslim world, is the Mahdi is about to appear on the scene. And whether or not they're 12ers, like we talked about last week, where they're waiting for the hidden imam that's going to crawl out of the well.
Is the imam and is that their Mahdi?
Well, an imam is a preacher in the Shiite Muslims. And Sunni Muslims, it's a caliph. In Shiite Muslims, it's an imam. The Mahdi is going to be the Messiah of Islam. Their prophesied Messiah. And he's called the Mahdi. And whether or not they're 12ers or Shiite or Sunni, they all are expecting the Mahdi to show up any day now. And they don't care about our laws or love or any of that. And that's not to say that there aren't Muslim people that don't want to love and don't love. I'm just saying that their religion has nothing to do with love. And their God, the Quran never calls Allah a God of love. In fact, he's called the deceiver, which is ironically what Satan is called in the Bible. And we've talked about this before, or we've talked about where Islam actually came from, and we're gonna kind of briefly review that today, because it's important to understand as we talk about what's going on in the world right now and how Satan's using all of these other things to distract us from Islam rising. But this is the real Islam right here. This is real Islam that we're looking at in these pictures. And it's, coexist. You can't coexist with people who want to kill you. Right? How do you coexist?
What's that? E. What is that?
Oh, all this stuff
exists.
What is the E? What is that? What's
I don't remember.
Science? Like science people?
MC squared.
I don't remember what all of these are. There's so many different religions. This has a few of them in it.
Science, probably.
Science, I would think
not
so.
Sure. Yeah, E equals MC squared. It's probably science. Yeah. So, but you can't you can't coexist. And here's the thing. This is what is going on right now. Right now, we talked about last week. We looked at, what's going on in France, what's going on in Europe and UK and Germany, and it's all because of immigration. Because they've been doing open borders for years now, and if you understand what's going on in France, is that they're completely and utterly destroying France.
Mm-hmm.
The UK has been destroyed. They're tearing down churches and burning down churches and building mosques, and this is the three phases of Muslim immigration. This is really a pattern that they've been using for a long time, where when they're few in number, what?
Why are they allowing them to do that? Why don't they get them out of their country?
Well,
then?
that's why the French people are rising up now, and they're revolting and protesting because they want to get them out now, because now that there's so many of them there, what's happened is
over their cities.
In Europe, they're in phase 2 right now. Right now in the United States, they're in phase 1, where they're few in number and they're oppressed Islam, where they play the victim. They claim Islamophobia. If anyone says anything bad about their religion, they pretend to be more tolerant and more loving. And it's not to say that all the Muslims in the United States understand this either, because they use the practice of taqiyya on their own people.
Yeah.
They bring them in with promises of love and this wonderful peaceful religion, but then there's ex-Muslim after ex-Muslim after ex-Muslim that talks about how they thought it was a religion of peace, but then when they started reading the Quran and they started getting more into the religion, they realized they were commanded to kill for their God, and so they got out. But this is where they're at in the United States. Aside from Michigan and Minnesota, where they actually have Sharia zones there. They actually have Sharia zones in those states where the United States police do not go in there at all.
No-go zones, yeah.
They have their own laws. It's strict Sharia law. It's phase 3 in these small areas. But phase 2 is where they're at in Europe right now. They're a large minority. So now they're indignant Islam, and they're threatening, they're demanding Sharia law, they're intolerant of infidels, and they're running around raping and killing and
they're pushing their way in. They're pushing their way in.
Yeah, it's horrible what they're doing in France and the UK and all over Europe, really. And it's
France right now is just really bad.
Yeah, France is destroyed.
I think that the government would just say enough is enough. We're gonna.
Wouldn't you think that?
You would hope, right? But remember last week we talked about Biden having a Muslim scholar teaching him for a year and how he learned about the hidden imam and all this, and it's all of this stuff is Satan's plan. Satan is using all of these people. He's using them all. They worship him as their God, and he uses them and manipulates them to do what he wants to do. And this is what he's gearing up for right now. And we're going to talk more about it, but this is where they're at. And the countries that are Muslim are in this phase 3. They're a clear majority. They're dominant. They are militant. They have strict Sharia law. They will kill, subdue, and subjugate all infidels. And there's article after article after article about Africa, and particularly the countries that are part Muslim and part Christian. Nigeria, for example, almost every single day there's a new news article about Muslims going in and just savagely wiping out Christian villages. raping the women, killing the men, taking the women as slaves, and just running roughshod. This is Islam. We have to understand that this whole idea that Islam is some loving, wonderful, peaceful religion is a lie that they're perpetrating on the United States right now.
Yeah.
And we really need to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunately, even like I said, they even use taqiyya on their own people. All of these new converts, you know, you see women walking around, obviously not a Middle Eastern, right? But they're different races of women walking around with hijabs on, and they have no idea what they're getting into because they're being lied to, and they don't know it yet. But that's the phases of their plan, and this is what's going on. We're in phase 1, but with the millions and millions coming across our southern border in the last couple of years,
we're going to go to phase 2.
We're heading towards phase 2 pretty quickly, because if you know anything about the people coming across our border, like the majority of them are young men. There's not families. There's a few. There's children. There's women. There's families. But that's the minority of who's coming over. The vast majority are young men. And a lot of them are from West Africa and Muslim nations. They're coming. It's an invasion. It's not immigration. It's an invasion is what it is. It's the same thing they did in Europe, is what they wanted fast track here in the United States. That's why they opened the borders, bam, as soon as they got power in 2020. As soon as they got power, they shut down that border wall.
That was the first day.
And opened it up.
They sure did.
Because this is what they want. This is what Satan is telling them to do. And they're obedient little servants of the devil. Because he gives them power. Anyway, so it's important to understand that Satan is behind this, and that Satan has already fooled the majority of the world. He's well on the way of fooling everyone, which is what the Bible tells us the Antichrist will do with his false prophets supporting him. They're going to fool the entire world. The entire world will be fooled by these men, because of the lying wonders of Satan that he's already sown and is already perpetrating throughout the world. And I wanted to, I know that I've done this before, but I wanted to go through this list really quick, just so it might be review for some, but it's important to understand the level of exact duplication that Satan did in the prophecies of Islam. And we're going to talk about the prophecies of Catholicism here in a little bit. But this is what Satan set up in Islam, that the Antichrist will be the Mahdi. The false prophet will be the Muslim Jesus. This is what Satan set up, because Satan knows exactly what's going to happen, because he's got the prophecies of God, and he knows it's going to happen exactly as God said it would. So what does he do? He's setting up these exact duplicate, counterfeit prophecies that are exact mirrors of the Bible. So when the Bible's prophecies come to pass, guess what? They're all going to think it's their prophecy coming to pass. This is how Satan fools them. The Antichrist and false prophet are going to work together. Mahdi and Muslim Jesus will. False prophets in the Bible is a dragon in lamb's clothing, essentially, and the Muslim Jesus comes bearing the name of Jesus Christ. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Muslim Jesus, because who this man's going to be, and what Muslims say. But the Antichrist and false prophet establish a new world order. They create a one world government, a one world religion, and a new world order. And so does the Mahdi and the Muslim Jesus in Islamic prophecy. They institute new laws. The Mahdi and Muslim Jesus will institute Islamic law over all the earth. The Antichrist is said to change the times. The Mahdi will establish the Islamic calendar over all the earth, change from the Gregorian calendar to the Islamic calendar. It's going to happen. The Antichrist and false prophet will be powerful religious leaders that will institute a universal world religion. The Mahdi and the Muslim Jesus will institute Islam as the only religion on the earth. They're going to execute anyone who won't submit, and they will specifically use beheading as the primary means of execution. Well, this is the common practice of Islam since the time of Muhammad. Is they behead their enemies when they execute them.
That's a scripture. Can we go back up? That is an actual.
Yeah, it's Revelation 24.
Scripture.
I've got the scriptures noted here for all of the prophecies that I'm talking about.
Can you read it? I mean, can you go and read it where it actually says those that were beheaded for Christ?
I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark on their forehead or in their hands. Yeah.
That's talking about during the tribulation.
Yeah.
And
it's beheading.
People don't realize, they don't see the connection. They don't.
And that's why I'm doing this review for anybody new. It's not review, but even for those that have seen this before, it's important to reinforce this, to remember these things. The Antichrist and false prophet are going to kill as many Jews and Christians as possible. They're going to make war with the saints, and they're going to be hunting down Jews. Even though the Jews do not believe in Jesus, Satan still hates them.
Yeah.
Even though they're not, it's only Messianic Jews that are going to be saved. But Satan hates all Jews because of Abraham, because of God. And it's if you know anything about Muslim doctrine, they're taught from youth to hate Jews. And it's just part of their doctrine. And the Muslim and the Mahdi, Muslim Jesus and the Mahdi will hate Jews and Christians, will kill as many as possible until, and this is a quote from one of hadiths, is that there only a few will be left hiding behind rocks and trees as part of the prophecy. The Antichrist and false prophet will attack to conquer and seize Jerusalem. This will be the Battle of Armageddon. The prophecies of Islam or the Mahdi and Muslim Jesus will attack and conquer and seize Jerusalem for Islam. Although at the time we know that Jesus will show up at that point and say no and wipe him out with a word. The Antichrist will set himself up in the Jewish temple as his seat of authority, the abomination of desolation spoken of. The Mahdi is said to establish the Islamic Caliphate from Jerusalem. The false prophet will do miracles to deceive. The Mahdi is said to control the weather and the crops, his face to glow, and Jesus will be his supporting person, right? The Muslim Jesus. So he's going to be expected to do miracles like he did the first time he was here. And we're going to talk more about the Muslim Jesus. But the belief at the time of Muhammad was that the Antichrist would come in riding on a white horse. Yeah,
calling Jesus the Antichrist.
And the Mahdi is described as riding on a white horse. Ironically, from the book of Revelation. Which is funny.
They have videos out of their Mahdi coming back. And
they do?
Yeah, there's one out there where he's riding his white horse and all these guys on horses and everyone down there watching him.
Wow.
And this is actually a false belief, because Revelation 6:2 is the white horse. It's the first seal being broken, but it's not an actual white horse. And this is a misinterpreted prophecy on the Christian side and on the Islamic side, because when Jesus returns, he will be the one riding the white horse. The Antichrist is going to make a peace treaty with many for 7 years, the confirmation of the covenant. The Mahdi is said to make a peace treaty through a Jew, specifically a Levite, for exactly 7 years. Jesus, the Jewish Messiah, they call him the Dajjal. When Jesus actually returns in the clouds of heaven with power and glory, the Muslims are going to say it's their Islamic Antichrist.
Telling that.
But that's when Jesus, remember, that's when Jesus pours out his wrath.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, nope, you guys are wrong again.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, the Antichrist will bring the nations of the world down to conquer Israel. And that's when Jesus finishes his descent and says no and wipes them out. Yeah. The Antichrist spirit denies the unique and central doctrines of Christianity, which is that Jesus is God incarnate in the flesh, and the substitutionary death of Jesus on the cross. And Islam denies all of those things. The primary warning of Jesus and the Apostle Paul was the abundance of deceit in the last days. Islam is the only religion on earth that practices deceit, the taqiyya we were talking about, as tools to assist its own ascendancy. And from the Bible and history, we'll learn that the final Antichrist empire will be a revived version of the empire that succeeded the Roman Empire, which is the 5th section of the statue in Daniel 2, the iron mingled with clay. And this is the Holy Roman / Islamic empires will be revived. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But so I wanted to review that because this is the great lie of Satan. He has fooled 1.8 billion people with this lie. And he's got lots of other lies. So it's important to remember that, and remember that Pope Francis hit the ground running with his interfaith message. And he's still working really, really hard on that. We showed the picture of the Interfaith Temple he built last time. I've got it again. But I've got a couple articles here from June of 2014. Pope Francis invited the Muslims to pray to the devil in the Vatican because that's who they're praying to, right? So they had Islamic prayers at the Vatican. And then in November of the same year, Pope Francis went to the Blue Mosque in Istanbul and prayed in the mosque.
To the devil.
This is what he did. Because you don't go in a mosque and don't do that, or they'll kill you.
No.
When everybody does that, you do it too.
If the Jews even get close to the mosque, they'll kill them.
Yeah.
They can't even go anywhere near to try to go and pray or whatever. Yeah. They're not allowed to.
The Muslims hate them praying on the Temple Mount.
Yes,
in fact, they'll kill you if they see you praying on the Temple Mount. Yeah. But this is what Pope Francis, when he visited the Blue Mosque, this is what he did. He prayed with them.
Yeah.
Just like that.
He didn't pray to God. He prays.
Yeah, he was praying with them to Allah, which is the devil. But then, so we understand that this is what Pope Francis is doing. Everything Pope Francis is doing is to preach this interfaith message. It's saying that all religions worship the same God. And I'm going to show you here in a minute. I'm going to prove to you that that's not biblical. It goes against the words of Jesus himself. But this is the Catechism of the Catholic Church. And I invite you to look it up. I'm showing it to you here. But look up the Catechism of the Catholic Church and look up article number 841. This is what it says. On the Church's relationship with the Muslims, the plan of salvation also includes those who acknowledge the Creator, in the first place amongst whom are the Muslims. These profess to hold the faith of Abraham, and together with us they adore the one merciful God, mankind's judge on the last day. So it says the plan of salvation includes the Muslims.
Well,
they're saying it doesn't matter if you're a Muslim or a Christian. Mm-hmm. You can still be saved. That's what they've been saying for a long time. This was not Pope Francis. This came long before Pope Francis. Pope Francis is just working as hard as he can to make this happen. So it doesn't, they think that it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or a Muslim.
I think people sometimes, because I've actually had to deal with people who didn't know. They thought that a Muslim was somebody who came from the Middle East. That it is not a race of people.
The Arab
It
race
a
is not
religion,
Muslim.
not a race of people.
Right. Islam is a religion, not a race.
Right.
Right. Exactly. So here's the biblical side, and here's what Muslims say: you don't need to believe in Jesus Christ to be saved. They will admit that Jesus was a prophet, but they deny that he was the Messiah.
Right.
Even though they'll say, some will actually say he was the Messiah, or that he was anointed.
Yeah.
But they will deny. Here's what they will deny: that he was God manifest in the flesh as of the Son of God.
Mm-hmm.
John 1:14. They will deny that he died on the cross and rose again. They say that he was a prophet that died 2,000 years ago. And so here's what they believe about their Muslim Jesus. This is what Satan set up in their religion as a prophecy. When the Mahdi comes on the scene, they're the Muslim Messiah, a man will be Jesus Christ, will be reincarnated, or will come down from heaven or something like that. Supposedly, let me speak proper English.
Supposedly,
he will be the actual Jesus from 2,000 years ago. This is what their prophecies say. That's why we call him the Muslim Jesus, because they say that Jesus Christ himself will come back and support the Mahdi and will re-educate us poor, misguided Christians. And, that Jesus isn't really God. He's not the Son of God. He didn't die and rise again. This is what they believe.
A month ago, I heard a Muslim say that Jesus really never died, that they came and ripped him off the cross before he actually died. That's what they believe.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them will believe that he was actually taken to heaven like Elijah and Enoch. Yeah. And didn't actually die, but he's going to come back now when the Mahdi shows up. Yeah. But so can that even be true according to the Bible? No, absolutely not. Jesus said, "I am the Messiah." He said,
"Yes,
I am the Son of God." He said, "It's me that's talking to you." The high priest at his death said, "Are you Christ? Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed?" And Jesus said, "I am. Yes, I am." Jesus said, you will die in your sins if we don't believe that he is the Son of God, the Messiah. We will die in our sins. And if we don't believe on the name of the only begotten Son of God, Jesus Christ, that we are condemned. And neither is there salvation in any other than Jesus, for there is no other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved. So there's no salvation in anyone but Jesus Christ, period. Not Muhammad, not Buddha, no other name. So this belief that the Muslims have, that Pope Francis is promoting, the church itself is saying you don't need it, that you can be a Muslim and be saved. But then they say that they believe in Jesus. So basically what the church is saying is that Jesus is not the Jesus of the Bible, that this is not the truth. They're denying that the Bible is true. And this is a fairly recent article where the National Catholic Reporter said that the Muslim Jesus provides common ground for Christianity and Islam. Like, are you serious? The Muslim Jesus provides common ground? This counterfeit Jesus that will be the false prophet of the Bible? that supports the Antichrist? Wow. And so if I know there's a lot of Christians, and I say Christians as in not Catholics, Protestants, Baptists, non-denominationals, whatever denomination, there's a lot of Christians that believe this lie of interfaithism, that all religions worship the same God.
Yes, they do.
Lots of them.
And
they're following what?
They're going to be very surprised.
Yes, they are.
And they're following the Catholic Church in this belief. And Catholics just follow the Pope. They follow whatever the church says, right? They by and large don't read their Bible. They just believe the doctrines of the church, the precepts of the church, whatever they teach. And if you're a Catholic and you're still with us, please please study this out. Please look at what your church really teaches, because what the Bible says is to come out of her if you love Jesus. If you love Jesus, you need to come out of that church and follow Jesus. And Jody has not showed up. So
Yeah, she has.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah,
I was going to check Rumble real quick, see if anybody had anything to say.
Yeah, she said she would. Yeah, she just let me know that
okay.
was
I
already.
appreciate
She's been in for 35,
okay.
40 minutes.
I appreciate you, Jody. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was just going to go check Rumble, see if there's anybody saying
Half
anything.
an hour. She's been in for like a half an hour.
So, yeah, thanks, Jody.
Yeah.
So the Catholic Church is really saying that Jesus is not the Jesus of the Bible. This is what Pope Francis is saying. That Jesus is not the Jesus of the Bible. And if you follow this man, I'm sorry, but that's a lie. And if you believe that, you don't believe in the Jesus of the Bible, then you are not saved. You are going to burn in hell. You're going to die in your sins. As Jesus said, you will die in your sins. If you don't believe the record God gave, you call him a liar. This is one of I got to show this to everyone, because this is one of the things that all we have to do is say, if you deny the Son, you don't have the Father.
Yeah.
If you don't believe the record God gave, if you don't believe the record God gave of his Son, that you're calling him a liar. And you don't have the Father. So you can profess to believe in the God of Abraham and worship the God of Abraham all you want. But if you don't believe in Jesus, if you don't believe the record God gave of Jesus Christ, then you don't have the Father. I don't care if you profess to. You do not. This is right out of the Bible. Because God was manifest in the flesh. God himself was manifest in the flesh. That is Jesus Christ.
John is in Rumble asking a question.
Okay. Let me go look.
Thank you, Jody. And thank you, John,
appreciate
for
it.
asking.
I'm
so happy that we have Jody, because she's watching our chat. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. And you're welcome for posting that video. It is very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So are there any established churches that do follow the Bible? Good question.
Good question.
I've been looking for 18 years and I haven't found one. Now,
that's
granted,
that's pretty bad.
That is very bad.
Well, and actually that's not true, because the last few years I have not looked. I gave up. I've been to multiple denominations. Sorry?
People may not be going to church, though. They may just be having Bible study at home.
Now, there are people that love God, that believe his word, that just believe the word of God, just like we do. But they're not in my town. They're
Yeah.
around different places of the world. There's people that I
There's
know.
one in Canada.
And Jay, for example. And there are people around the world that do, but they seem to be very few and far between. And I went to different denominations, all kinds of different churches, had meetings with pastors. I haven't found one church that doesn't have a lie in it. They all have different lies, but Satan mixes his lie with the truth. And they're all woven in, especially over the last couple of centuries, since the 1800s. The major lies of Satan have been woven into the doctrines of the church. And it's really sad, but it's true. And I have not found one. So I'm sorry I can't point you to one. But what we do is we this is our church. We get together. We have Zoom meetings and we do prayer meetings and we get together. There are some local people that we occasionally get together with here at our house, and you know, we pray together, we worship together, we study together, and you know, we work together to try to help dispel the lies of Satan, to help people to understand this, because Satan's lies are they've covered the world. It's horrible. But that's what we're doing here, is we're trying to help dispel those lies. So yeah, I'm sorry, but I haven't found one.
Just keep coming to Bible study and our live streams.
Yeah, and you know, I don't invite everyone that ever comes on the live stream, but if you're a man of God that loves Jesus, then you know we can certainly invite you to the next Zoom meeting we have, and you can pray with us.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
You know, I would love to do that. So the church is saying this about Jesus, but here's the thing that really puts the wrench in there, is that Muslims are actually taught to hate the Jesus of the Bible. This is a hadith, which the hadith and the sunnah are the things Muhammad did and the things Muhammad said. And they're all written down and they're cataloged. And it's given as much doctrinal truth weight as the Quran itself. And this is their doctrine. This is their Bible. And it says that in this hadith that Allah's apostle said, so Muhammad said, the most awful name in Allah's sight on the day of resurrection, so the last day, will be that of a man calling himself Malik al-Amlak, which is interpreted the King of Kings. Now, what does it tell us in Revelation chapter 19? That Jesus is going to come on riding on a white horse with a name written on his thigh, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So Muslims are taught to hate the real Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. They're taught to hate him. The most awful name. Oh, that just... I know, it makes my skin crawl. It gives me the heebie-jeebies just even saying that.
I know. Yeah.
So this
I know, because it's like waiting for that bomb to drop.
I know. I know. That's exactly right.
But this is what the Catholics and many, many Christians are subscribing to when they say, yes, all religions worship the same God and Muslims are just going to be saved just like us. No. Do not believe that. It is a lie from Satan, direct from the maw of hell itself. And like I said, I'll tell you personally, I've met lots of people that call themselves Christians that say this all religions worship the same God. We all just need to come together in this interfaithism, this coexistence. This is such a lie. But even my brother, my blood brother, when I was still living in Idaho, and we got in an argument about biblical doctrine because I was trying to help him understand what I'd learned from reading the Bible for myself. And he got all pissed off at me. and said, and because he was saying, yes, all religions do worship the same God.
He
Yeah,
did? I didn't know that.
And I'm like, I can't help you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry, but that's, you know, I can't help you. If you believe all that stuff, and that was not the extent of the things he was arguing about. It was all the churchianity stuff that everybody believes. And it's, you know, I know lots of people that call themselves Christians that believe those things. And we have to understand that it's impossible. It's not just a lie that if we actually believe the words of Jesus himself, that it's impossible for that to be true. And Pope Francis doesn't seem to care. He obviously does not care. And here's the thing about Pope Francis is he believes that he's this prophesied final pope of Catholic prophecy. I'm going to talk about that. I know we're going.
Grand Mufti.
But the Grand Mufti of Islam is one of the higher up, you know, high level, high ranking, like a priest of Islam. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And here's Pope Francis. And what's Pope Francis doing in this picture? He's giving the floor to the Grand Mufti.
So
the Grand Mufti
pray.
is praying while he's just sitting there silent. What does that tell you?
That means he's submitting to that.
Exactly. And it's, you know, people that understand these things think that Catholicism and Islam are going to be a union.
No.
In the last day. And we see this in Daniel chapter 2, which we're going to talk about in a minute, is that it is going to be the final empire that rules the world when Jesus returns, is going to be a union of Catholicism and Islam, because it was the Holy Roman / Islamic empires that is the fifth section of that statute, which is now the EU and the Arab League. But we'll look at that more here in a minute. But what's going to happen there is it's not going to be a union. It's going to be a submission of Catholicism to Islam. Mm-hmm. Islam is going to be the universal religion, the one world religion that's created. Well, it's already created, but it's going to be forced on the world when the Antichrist takes over and implements the mark of the beast. You're going to have to be a Muslim, or at least swear an oath and submit to Islam and submit to the new world order he creates.
Is that what Pope or whoever the Pope is, the false prophet, is going to be? They're actually going to take the oath and all that?
I'm sure. And it really looks like the false prophet is going to be this Muslim Jesus. And it's almost certainly going to be either Pope Francis or maybe his successor, if he is an old man. But you know, and we're going to look at that a little more.
All of them. Everybody in politics is old.
I know, they're all, and that's why they're all desperately trying to make all these things happen now before they all pass away, and all of their plans just crumble.
He's still what is he, 200 now? He's like still existing.
Well, here's the thing, though. If we understand everything going on in the world and who's really behind it, the secret society has been around for centuries, and Satan is the leader of that secret society. And it's Satan's plans that even when all these people die off, there's more that come up to take their place.
Can he keep them alive?
No.
Okay.
Otherwise, he would have been doing that. And he does not have godly power. He is a very powerful fallen angel. And we cannot underestimate him, but he is not God.
He can coerce, but he can't.
He can lie and manipulate and get people to do his bidding, yes. But here's what I want to look at this real. What?
Satan can't take your life, Kenny.
No.
Well,
Kenny?
If God permitted it, but God did not permit that with Job, and I don't think that God allows Satan to kill us. No, especially not God's people. No.
Right.
Now Satan does try to get us to fight
the body,
wars,
but not the soul.
Satan tries to get us to fight wars and kill each other off. And he's, you know what he's done in the last few years with all the oligarchs or the deep state or the secret society, whatever you want to call them, they want to kill off billions of us to support their New World Order and to maintain a population of 500 million. That means 6-7 billion of us have to die for their plans to come to pass. But anyway, I want to talk about what Pope Francis believes, because seriously, I've not heard him say, I'm the final Pope, but everything he's doing proves that he believes these Catholic prophecies and believes that he is the final Pope, because that's what everything he's doing is to try to make that happen. And so without going and reading all of this, I put it here. This, by the way, is the latest newsletter that I have on my website. If you go to BibleProphecyandTruth.com, go to the notes menu and go to the newsletters archive, this is the latest one, Catholic Muslims Coexist. And you can get it to from the drop down, or you can get to it from the flat list here. This is the page that I'm looking at right now. So please do go and look, click the links, do some more research if you haven't already. But I'm not going to read through this whole thing, but to put it in a synopsis, a little short summary, there's thousands and thousands of prophecies from the Catholic Church over the last 1,700 years. Many of them conflict with each other. Many of them are already proven to be false. But there's a central theme of belief in Catholicism, the return of the final emperor, or the great monarch, as some call him, which will be this final pope, or not a final pope, sorry. The final pope will support this man. The final pope will be the final glorious pope, as they say, and will support the great monarch. Some people think it's going to be the return of Apollo. There's a lot of weird doctrines behind that. And a lot of them believe in the St. Malachi's prophecy from the 11th century.
Malachi or Malachi?
Malachi. Oh. I've heard it pronounced Malachi. I don't know. But St. Malachi of the 11th century gave a prophecy of 112 popes from his time to the end. Ooh. Well, guess what number Pope Francis is? 112. He's the 112th Pope. And crazy. Catholics, for the most part, believe this prophecy. And he will work with the final emperor, the great monarch, to drive apostates out of Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, and combine all religions into one global religion. What's Pope Francis trying to do? Mm-hmm. He's trying to make this happen. He's doing everything he can. He hit the ground running. The moment he became Pope, he just hit the ground running to make this happen.
He was like more charitable than all the other popes.
Well, he's trying to pass himself off as a Christ-like figure.
Mm-hmm. Angelic Pope.
Why would he, there's a reason for that, right? Why did the first thing he did when he became Pope was we went out in the streets and he started talking to the homeless people and doing things, trying to be Jesus, right? Trying to show the world how Christ-like he is. And promoting this interfaithism, his whole term of reign there. But the common belief is that this final emperor will come on the scene, and there'll be this final glorious war that will drive out the apostates, and the final glorious pope will support him. Yeah. Well, guess what that mirrors? Just like the Muslim prophecies mirror the prophecies of the Bible. The great emperor is going to be the Antichrist. The final glorious pope is going to be the false prophet, which will be the Mahdi of Islam and the Muslim Jesus of Islam. So when these men get together and make their plans and take over ruling of the world, whoever is, now I say most likely, because I can't tell you absolute certainty this stuff's going to happen exactly this way. It's just when you look at the prophecies of the Bible and you look at everything Satan has set up, Satan knows what's going to happen, and he's set this up to when the prophecy of the Bible happens, it's going to be an Islamic Antichrist, and the Pope's going to be the false prophet. He's going to call himself Jesus, and he's going to re-educate all the poor misguided Christians, and everybody will have to become a Muslim in the last days. And this is what, this is what Pope Francis is driving for. Thanks, Annie. So this is what Pope Francis has said, things like, quote, "Get ready for the end time."
Yes.
Pope Francis said those words.
Mm-hmm.
He said over and over and over, he's talking about that the end time is here.
Yeah, he also said
We're
that
there.
World War III has already started.
Yeah, he said that too. He almost certainly believes himself to be this prophesied pope.
Yeah, he does.
It's in my mind, it's absolute 100%. I'm 100% convinced that he believes he is this prophesied pope. I can't tell you that I know this because I haven't seen him. I haven't heard him say it, right? But he is. He thinks so. Absolute certainty in my mind.
He is. I can't say that, but he is.
But
I'm 100% sure.
Well,
but I can't say.
I have to have a disclaimer. I have to put out the disclaimer because as a man of God, I'm never going to tell you I know something unless I know it.
Right.
And this is something that I believe in my mind, and I'm 100% convinced of it, but I can't tell you I know it.
Yeah, you
because
can think
I don't
something
know
else.
it.
You can
right?
think something
This
else.
is not a fact until it happens.
You just truly believe.
Yeah. And based on everything God told us, everything, the pictures God painted of the end time are so perfectly clear now. It's amazing. But Pope Francis built this Interfaith Temple, right? It's called the Abrahamic Family House, Abu Dhabi. And and I showed this last week, but this is an article. It shows the construction of this place, right, from Vatican News. And this is Pope Francis's dream come true. This is this interfaith. This is him. He's creating his one world religion here. He thinks he's going to do this. And here's another thing that I don't know. But I'm telling you right now that he already knows the man that's going to be the Antichrist.
You think?
I can almost guarantee that they know each other.
Oh,
and they're already talking.
I bet.
And they're already making plans.
He sure is quiet.
I can almost guarantee that.
He's really quiet.
Yeah, is the Pope, has he been in the news lately within the last 5 months?
He hasn't been. He was in the hospital. He did have a surgery and things like that.
Who? The possible Antichrist or the Pope?
Oh, the Pope.
No, the Pope.
The Pope's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, he's fine. But he did have a surgery and stuff. He's still busy. He's still very, very busy.
Kicking.
But we don't know who the Antichrist is yet.
No.
And like I said, I don't know this. I'm just telling you. I'm sure.
I don't know this, but I'm so sure. It's your communication skills.
Yeah. Well, hey, I've got to put the disclaimer out there.
What
it just doesn't work.
What you say is, in my own mind and heart, I believe this, but I can't say for you to personally believe this because it hasn't happened yet.
Well, that's pretty much what I said.
No,
in different words.
Yeah, exactly.
So will Pope Francis be the false prophet? He teams up with the Antichrist. Yeah, it sure looks like it, right? We can't say for sure yet, but the days are coming, and we don't have long to wait. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think so either. It wouldn't be
Jay's laughing at
a
us.
surprise.
Yeah, and even if it's not Francis, it'll be his successor.
Yeah,
I'm certain of that. And and if you're Catholic and you love Jesus, then come out of her. Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. And this, yes, this includes the daughters. And if you don't know who the daughters are, go to this article and click this link. This is the great whore of Revelation 17 and 18 is the mother of harlots. And Pope John Paul II's closest aide, Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, told the bishops that it was incorrect to refer to Christian churches ranging from Orthodox to Protestant as sister churches, because the Catholic Church is the mother, and it's really the truth.
Yeah, it is.
I've got if you click that link, you can go through this list of things that I show where the Protestant church today is very much like the Catholic Church. The Reformation was great, but they took so many of the traditions and beliefs of the church with them that they never went back to the truth. All the way back, they just came out of the Catholic Church. And then they started their own apostate religion. Yeah. Unfortunately, and it's gotten worse since then, especially since the 1800s. And then in the last century, the church is so apostate. There's so many lies in the church, and it's just this watered down churchianity nonsense that does not teach any strong doctrine. And it's just the church is just a bunch of people that go sit in a pew and sing some hymns, have their little social club, don't do anything for God, don't really love him. They're just basically, I believe, and I get my ticket out of hell, and that's what I care about. And it's just Satan has made the church lukewarm, which God said he's going to spew you out of his mouth if you're lukewarm.
Yep.
And it's, we need to read the Bible. And that's why I'm always saying, read the Bible. Start in Genesis 1:1 and read the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And then do it again. Mm-hmm. And never stop. And if you seek God and his truth and just believe what he said, you will know the truth. But otherwise, you're going to be deceived like everyone else. Sad to say. Mm-hmm. So I would spend more time on that, but we're kind of running out of time. So I don't want to go over. I know people love to sit around with us for 2 hours, but I try to keep it to an hour and a half.
Jay.
But so and this is what I said we were going to talk about in a little bit, because I know the standard doctrines out there say that there's no fifth section, that it's just part of the fourth, but it is not. If you read the scriptures, and let's go do it just real quick.
Just
real quick, because I want to show you this real quick. If you read these scriptures, so this is the interpretation of the dream, right? This is the statue. The image's head was of fine gold, his breasts and arms of silver, and his belly and thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet of part iron and part clay.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of, there's 5 different sections there. And it says, thou sawest till a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon the beast. This is Jesus Christ returning. That's what this, what?
You said the beast.
The image on his feet, sorry. Mm-hmm. This is Jesus Christ returning. Yeah. This is what it's going to be. And then, so this is the interpretation of the dream. So he's the head of gold. King Nebuchadnezzar is the head of gold on this statue. After thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things. And as iron breaketh all these things, it shall break in pieces and bruise. Mm-hmm. And whereas thou saw the feet and the toes, part of clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. It's not saying that people try to say that this fourth section is the legs that are strong as iron and the toes, the feet and toes that are part iron, part clay. But it goes through it all and shows that it's a separate section. it's a different section. It's a fifth section of the statue. It is not the same iron. And it shows it again here. You know, thou saw the stone was cut out of the mountains, that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold. And the great God made known to the king what shall come to pass, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation is sure.
That's 5. So why do they say that? And how do they argue it? Because it looks pretty obvious to me. So I'm just wondering how they argue.
Well, people do, and the way it's worded. I mean, I've kind of studied that and gone, well, I don't know, but I've actually read books on this subject, and the books couldn't convince me that the scriptures don't say what they say.
Yeah.
But if you read it, it really is that there's 5 sections, and we know what the 5th section is because it's now history.
Yeah.
And I'm
looking at the statue you have on there. People can count 1.
Well,
2,
this is just an image drawn by someone, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
So it
she's
shows
saying
the 5th
that there's 5th section.
Yeah, but it's definitely, when you read the scriptures, there's 5 different parts to it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: I have an article here, but I have these maps which kind of really help to see what I'm talking about here. Is that the Holy Roman Empire and the EU, the Islamic Ottoman Empire, and the Arab League, and we show the combined EU and Arab leagues here, is basically the whole of the Roman Empire, which was broken up, and then the Holy Roman Empire and the Islamic empires took over that same section, that same area of the world, which is from the time of Babylon to the Medes and the Persians and the Greeks and the Romans, and then the Holy Roman Islamic empires has always been about this area around the Mediterranean Sea. Always. And so that's the prophetic focus. This is the area Jesus told us about in the prophecies, was this area. So it's the EU and Arab League today that really make the Holy Roman and Islamic empires. And that's why when we see the scriptures telling us that it's going to be this 5th section that is in power when Christ returns, we can see what it is. It's going to be a union, which the EU is what? Catholic? Yeah, pretty much. The Arab League is Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's going to be a union of those two, the Holy Roman Empire and the Islamic empires, that are broken, partly strong and partly broken and divided and don't mix. The clay doesn't mix with the iron.
Yeah,
because
true.
Islam does not mix with Christianity at all. Mm-hmm. And they're gonna, but like I said before, it's not going to be a union. It's going to be a submission of Catholicism to Islam. And it's going to be that which will be in power when Christ returns. At the end of the Antichrist rule, that's when Jesus returns in the clouds of heaven with power and glory.
Jay said, still trying to figure out that the clay is, though. Still trying to figure out
and that's
what the clay is.
I know we've talked about this a few times, and I know that when we look at the scriptures, we can, there are people that say that it's not a separate thing, but there is definitely a separation of the feet and the toes from the legs. And what the clay is, because I understand your question, when we look at what is now history, the clay is Islam, the iron is Roman Catholicism, which it was Rome and the legs. It became Roman Catholicism, their RCC, right? The Roman Catholic Church. And Islam is the clay, which they've been fighting. It's waxed and waned over the years, right? Between the Islamic Empire and the Holy Roman Empire, different areas were controlled, and it's kind of settled down lately. But that's the clay. is Islam. I'm absolutely 100% certain of that myself from studying it and knowing all we have to do is know history, right?
Mhm.
I mean, unless there's going to be some other fifth section, right? Is there going to be some other fifth section that
Empire.
comes down that hasn't been here yet, that we haven't seen yet?
Yeah.
I mean, that would
Just
be
have to
like
see it first.
like
so.
if Christ is not coming soon and there's lots of time left, then there could be some other thing that shows up, right? But when we look at history and we see that this is what came after the Roman Empire collapsed, that it became the Holy Roman and Islamic empires, this to me is absolute positive proof that it's going to be Catholicism and Islam that are in power when Christ returns. So, but you know, as we've already talked about, you don't have to believe the same way I do. You don't have to be convinced in your mind the same way that I am.
Yeah.
But you know, when it happens, then you'll see.
Then you'll call them and say, you were right.
When it happens, you'll know. I'm just teasing. But when you put all of the prophecies together, you put all of the things, and especially, you know, one of the things, I don't like to give the devil a lot of credit, but the devil is not some little flitting about little spirit he is a very powerful fallen angel that understands the prophecies of the Bible much better than I do. And he set it up. He set it up to where the Antichrist is going to be a Muslim.
God gave him that much, to fulfill his purpose.
He's had the scriptures. Satan has had the scriptures. Since the time of Daniel, he's been trying to make these prophecies happen.
Oh.
Now he's going to succeed. We can see it happening. Yeah. So, like I said, you guys, nobody has to believe the same way I do. But
he's absolutely sure.
Take a look. Take a look at all of these things that are happening.
But not
what
really.
Satan has set up in Catholicism and Islam, where the world is right now, what Satan is doing in the world right now, and I am absolutely 100% convinced that this is how it's going to play out. So,
but you are really accurate on so many things.
But it's
you were saying before when I was in Germany, you were saying that China will come up against the United States. And I just saw a video earlier today, and a guy was saying China wants to blow us away.
Well, China's at the tail end of they're close to the end of their 100-year plan, and they definitely are gearing up for war right now, and they're accelerating their plans, and they want to destroy the United States. Yes.
You forgot to start out this. You usually do updates on like current events and stuff like that. So maybe you can at the end, right? Can you at the end?
There's not a lot. There's not a lot of new stuff since last week. Really.
Except the BRICS is expanding like
BRICS
crazy.
Is continuing. China's continuing. Everything is continuing.
The signs in the heavens are all over the place because there's flooding and all that kind of stuff.
But here's the thing: the Muslim Jesus, the false prophet of the Bible, will be the uniting entity between Islam and Catholicism that will bring them together. The false prophet will be the supporting military or miracle working man that supports the Antichrist, which is what Satan has set up the Muslim Jesus to be. So I really think that even if I were wrong about what I think about these things, I think I think that Satan probably knows what's going to happen because he is a very intelligent, very powerful fallen angel, and he knows the prophecies of the Bible. He's had, since the time of Daniel, he's had, 3,000 years?
That's why we got to keep reading our Bible, because
2,500 years anyway. Yeah.
We have to be at least as knowledgeable as him.
Yeah. He's had 2,500 years to study the prophecies.
Yeah.
And he's had 2,000 years since the time of John and the book of Revelation being written. He's had a lot of time to study these. He knows this stuff. And like I said, I don't like to give the devil credit for anything, but we can't
give in.
I think I actually have it written here somewhere. I thought I did. We can't, what's the word I'm looking for? We can't say that the devil is less than he is. We can't be
minimize him. Yeah, we can't minimize him.
We can't be deceived into thinking that the devil is just nothing. He wants us to believe that.
We can't underestimate him.
Underestimate him. That's the word I was looking for. We can't underestimate the devil. He knows a lot of stuff. He's had thousands of years to study the prophecies, and that's one of the reasons that I believe. Underestimate. Yeah, thank you. That's one of the reasons that I'm convinced that this is exactly how it's going to play out. Because the Bible, I believe, shows us that point blank with the prophecy of that final empire. And yeah, Satan set it up. Satan has set up the world to be fooled by it completely. I included a couple of those parallel prophecies here at the end of this, because about the Muslim Jesus and the false prophet, because this is what Satan has set up to fool with the final empire, or the final emperor.
What is going on?
I'm trying to get the two things mixed up. The final emperor and the
He's just getting to be an old fart.
I know, the great monarch. I was trying to say the great monarch and the final emperor at the same time. He's got the world set up. If you look at the Muslims with their Muslim Mahdi and the Muslim Jesus, and the Catholics with the final emperor and the final glorious pope, Satan has more than half the world ready for this to happen, with exact duplicate prophecies of the Bible.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that God, it's like I'm having some misunderstanding. Like, how does God give him that much control that he sets everything up?
Well,
I don't understand that.
And here's the thing: is he can't make it happen until God is ready for it to happen.
So he is allowing him to deceive,
as the Bible
right?
tells us, he's the God of this world. That he presents himself as an angel of light to those that worship him, and he has had centuries to manipulate people through the secret society that he set up hundreds of years ago, that he's been working towards this the whole time. And remember, he tried with Antiochus Epiphanes, he tried with General Titus, he tried with Hitler to make these things happen, but he did not succeed.
He thought he could cheat his way through it.
And he tried to make it happen shortly after the time of Daniel. He doesn't want to wait. He wants to destroy utterly as soon as he can.
And God's allowing him to.
God is allowing him to lie and deceive those prideful, selfish, glory-hunting people that serve him. Yes, absolutely, God is.
He's going to use his plan to. God's going to use the devil's plan to carry out his plan, right? Is that what it is?
Well, Well, and
God knows what he's going to do.
God knows exactly what is going to happen from the beginning. He knew exactly how it would all play out from the very beginning. And he does control things, right? He is not passively sitting up there just waiting for everything to happen. Yeah. He's absolutely in control, just like it says in Revelation 17:17, that God himself puts it in the hearts of the 10 kings to fulfill his will and to agree and to give their kingdom to the beast. The 10 horns of the beast, the fourth beast of Daniel 7, is the same as the 10 toes of the statue in Daniel 2, is the same as the 10 horns on the beast in Revelation 13, and as the 10 kings of Revelation 17. They're all the same 10 kings. And God puts it in their hearts to fulfill his will. They're going to give their power to their Mahdi because God puts it in their hearts to do so. Because God is finally going to let Satan do what he's trying to do. He's finally going to allow Satan to finish and conclude and do this plan that he wants to do to destroy as many people as possible, because now it's the end. Now God is ready to let it finish, because remember, he's waiting as long as he is to save as many people as he can. If he had allowed Satan to conclude this with Hitler, then there would be how many billions of people that don't have a chance to be saved, that would have never even been born, right? God has set it up so that at the penultimate moment where he can save as many people as he possibly can is when it'll end.
Anyway, what do they
know is that his time is gonna come to an end. What's he gonna get out of all of this?
I know.
That's hard to fathom, because he knows he can't win.
He's just taking as many as he can with him.
he may be so full of pride and anger that he thinks he can actually somehow overthrow God. But I don't see how that's even possible.
He is a representation of what is in man's heart.
Yeah.
Pride. Yeah. That's what humans are. They're full of pride. So Satan is what the bad part of us is.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and he's just so full of hate that he wants to be God. He knows he isn't God, and he just wants to destroy us because
he doesn't
God
like
loves
us. Yeah, he doesn't like us. He just doesn't want God to have us. So he's going to take as many with him as he can.
Yeah. Yep.
So God can't have us. Yeah. And we fall for it.
That's what
Not
he wants
me,
to do.
But people fall for it and just say, well, I don't believe in God, stuff like that. But they just give in to him.
Yeah. And so in conclusion, I appreciate your questions, Jay. And I'm not telling
And Joe too.
And Joe. And I'm not telling anyone that they have to believe all of this. I'm just showing you all of this information. And most of what I'm showing you is just facts, what's going on in the world and what Satan has set up. And if you don't believe that the 5th section is the Holy Roman Islamic Empire, I'm not going to tell you have to.
Yeah.
I believe it is, because I believe that history has already shown us that. And what the EU and the Arab League today, the EU still has a Charlemagne prize, which Charlemagne was the crowned king of the Holy Roman Empire in 800 AD. Is the person that does the most for the unification of Europe. And it's the EU is the Holy Roman Empire with a new name. The Arab League is the Islamic Empire with a new name. And I believe God showed us that this is what's going to be in power. And so, but like I said, until that day comes, until we actually see this happen, I can't tell you that I know for sure. And I'll always grant anyone that doesn't want to believe the same way I do. That's fine. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to say it has to be that way. I'm just going to say, well, okay, we'll wait and see. That's all we can do, right? we're going to wait and see. We're going to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much the end of it. I thought I added some notes in here about.
It's pretty much the end.
It's pretty much the end. It is the end. End of the article. And it's only 8:05. Yeah.
Woo, woo.
Yeah. I'm getting good at timing these things out a little better. So, but like I said, I don't expect anyone to just believe this because I said so, but study this for yourself. Look at all the things, look at the information that's out there and available. Study the false prophecies that Satan set up, because anybody can do that. Look at all of this and decide for yourself. I'm absolutely 100% convinced that this is how it's going to play out, and it's coming soon, like real soon.
Paul said lots of great information. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Hello, Paul and Johanna.
Glad you guys are here.
Yeah.
So, that's all I had for today.
Oh, what Jay said. I don't know which one it is. The only know the notes you mentioned. Jay, you're typing too fast. The only one, I only know the notes you mentioned. I know that the iron is Roman. As for the clay, I have not done as much study on it as you have. Oh, okay.
And
we understand.
Yeah. So
stop typing so
if
fast.
you find something else, let me know. I'd be happy to look at it. Yeah. Because like I said, we can't say this is a for certain thing until we see it happen. And but like I said, I don't think we have long to wait. When you look at the signs Jesus gave, we're there. This generation is not going to grow old and die.
Yeah.
Before all things happen, and there's so many things.
Yeah.
If you're new here and this is the first video you've seen, please go to BibleProphecyandTruth.com. Scroll down a little bit on the front page and go to when is the end of the world here. And I've got a video. You can click on that. We also have videos. Some of the videos that Diane is doing on the YouTube channel on the playlist that I have. When is the end of the world? And it has a bunch of really good videos that Diane's doing, and it has a live stream that we did. Looks like 11 months ago now on when is the end of the world, talking about this very thing. But you can watch a shorter video here, and you can look at this documentation on all the things Jesus said are coming to pass. And then if we look at other things that the Bible shows us, that we're at the 6,000 year mark from creation. The 6 days have passed, and the 7th day, the day of the Lord, will be the millennial reign of Christ. And so we're at the junction right now where we're at the 6th day, and the 7th day is about to start. There's so many things that show us that we're there right now. So
I'm starting to wonder if a lot of this stuff is just gonna start happening one right after another, like even with the war. Somehow I think it's possible that maybe this war is not going to be that long of a war. Maybe it's going to be a really short.
We were thinking that too. We were actually thinking that too.
I'm thinking maybe somebody is going to drop the bomb and boom, because there's so many weather things going on and viruses going on. There's so much going on right now that I don't think any country can really get an army together. I mean, China's lost a lot of people.
Plotting.
But China still has enough men of military age to field an army of 200 million.
And
I think with all the weather and stuff that's going crazy, all the fires, earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, all
there's a lot of stuff, bad stuff going on.
It's ramping up. It's getting more and more and more. It's like these graphs I have, right? The magnitude 6.0 and greater earthquakes. Since the 60s, it's been a steep incline. You know, the same thing with natural disasters since the 60s, just and then massively inclined. You know, we're
Things
there.
are going really, really crazy. I mean, we're getting floods in the desert.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that I talk to Colleen about all the time is that Iran is really, I really think that Iran is going to be the spark that ignites the nuclear exchange that will be the sixth trumpet. Because Iran hates Israel and they want to blow them up. They just want to blow them off the map. Yeah. And they're doing everything they can to achieve nuclear weapons capability.
Yeah, well, they just got a billion. How many billions of dollars?
I know.
Plus, we got to remember when the first woe happens and the locusts come out, they're going to be out for 5 months. There's not going to be a war going on. People are going to be stunned by those things. And I'm just thinking
it would put a little damper on the war effort.
Yeah.
I think it'll be.
But one of the things we have to look at too is like what's going on in the Ukraine-Russia war right now. There's all this hype in the news media about how Ukraine is about to win this counteroffensive, but it's all a bunch of lies. They're outright bold-faced lies that the media is telling us. And Russia's technology, they're using satellites and radar and other imaging systems and positioning systems where they're sitting in a building with instrumentation, with computers in front of them, and they're doing surgical strikes against locations where Ukraine troops are, sitting in a chair in front of a computer and using all of these imaging and targeting systems and doing precision strikes with missiles and just blowing them up. They don't even have a chance. But
they keep saying that Russia's losing this war.
They're not.
I know. Well,
and it's just
they're one of the.
They want us to believe that.
Yeah.
So that we're not upset about giving them billions and billions more dollars, which is basically just the big money laundering machine. Which Ukraine has been one of the most corrupt nations in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's been a big money laundering machine all along. And now they've done billions and billions just washed right through there really fast because they're trying to accelerate their plans. And I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
I don't remember. That was a long time ago. That was a long time ago. I don't know.
So anyway, now I'm really
I just brought that up because I started thinking about everything that's going on, and when the war does happen, I think it's just going to be the icing on the cake, and people are going to go.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I understand what you're saying. There's going to be so many other things that people are going to be worried about. That how are they going to?
Even after the locusts leave, there's still going to be really bad weather. There's just
pestilences, and now our pestilences. Yeah, there's just something.
Just everything Jesus said. What we're seeing right now is what Jesus said is the beginning of sorrows.
Yes.
It's just the beginning of sorrows. And it's all going to accelerate, and it's going to get really, really bad. It is
accelerating, and people don't really realize that just because you get up and the sun is out and you do go off to work, it is still accelerating. It is.
And they're saying now that there's going to be mandatory lockdown.
I know all this stuff is coming.
They're bringing masks and social distancing and lockdowns again. Yeah.
There's so much going on with pestilences and with the weather.
Yeah.
I just don't see the war as lasting like a few months, or well, maybe a few months, but like a year. I don't see that. I think they're just
that's why I always say that, the war itself, the conventional war, could be going on for years. but when God releases the 4 angels in the river Euphrates that are, remember, they're bound there for a specific hour, day, and a year, specific time to slay the third part of men. That it's going to be a very quick end to the war. And I believe that it's going to be a nuclear end.
Yeah, I do too.
Where there's going to be a nuclear exchange.
Now that Iran has billions of dollars, they can accelerate the bomb.
Do you see it? Do you see it? And do you see the whole war thing just coming to an end by this next spring?
Well, the Russia-Ukraine war,
I
people are saying that this is the beginning of World War III, but it hasn't happened yet.
No, they haven't called it officially.
They're starting, NATO is starting to get more and more involved.
There's troops on Poland's
If Russia
border.
starts using tactical nukes, then it will definitely accelerate and expand the war. But this could end up not being World War III. Maybe it won't be until China goes into Taiwan to take it. Maybe
Japan is dumping nuclear waste.
And China.
Yeah.
And China.
And here's the thing. Remember
nuclear waste.
Remember that it's going to be to slay the third part of men. To kill 2 billion people almost has to be nuclear or some supernatural event. And it's going to be probably quick. But there doesn't even have to. The only reason people think that World War III is inevitable is because it talks about an army of horsemen. The 200 million, the army of the horsemen is 200 million strong. So there's an army. That means there's a war. But if China goes into Taiwan and it starts an exchange, and there's a nuclear exchange, and that particular war just ends up in a big, huge nuclear exchange, and bam, 2 billion people are dead, that would be very fast. But there would still be an army involved, but it wouldn't necessarily have to drag on for years either.
Right.
So we'll see how it plays out. We don't know how it's all going to play out until it does. Just like, the final empire, we don't know exactly what that's going to look like until we see it. But that's why we study it all, so that when this stuff happens, we're going to know exactly what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's a little different than what we thought it might be, we're going to say, aha, that's it. It's not going to be something we won't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why God said, the words are closed up and sealed until the time of the end. Because at the time of the end, they're going to be something we can recognize for what they are.
Yeah, because with, doing the research for this pestilence.
Yeah. Oh, the pestilence.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that people are actually wanting to leave their house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much going on with the weather, and now another COVID.
Now there's some new strain.
And it's not just COVID. It's not just COVID. It's malaria. There's malaria cases in Florida. There's polio that's coming
Legionnaire's disease. There's what's that?
It never went away.
The one we were talking about?
Body rot.
Yeah, what is it?
Oh, I don't know.
What's the biblical disease?
Leprosy.
Leprosy.
Leprosy
is resurging.
I know, but I have a different take on that, because I think a lot of these diseases are here and because of all the people that are flooding over the border.
Well, yeah, that's what people are saying, is it's all the people coming up across our southern border that are bringing them.
Well, in Africa, they've got a town where leprosy went through. Africa gets all that weird stuff.
We try to stay in touch with our spiritual son.
Yeah.
Divine. Yeah, and he seems to be doing okay right now. We just keep trying.
Yeah, it's just pockets and stuff there. There's like a remote village that had leprosy.
But it's going to continue until the end. And this is the thing I want to end with this, because this is what that God didn't close up and seal the words, period. He closed up and sealed the words till the time of the end.
Yeah.
So at the time of the end, we're going to see these pictures that God painted for us for exactly what they are. And I've studied this so much that I can see the paintings in my mind's eye, and I can see exactly what God showed us. And we're there.
Yeah, we're definitely there. But even people who don't really, even people who are looking for a rapture any second, they even know we're in the end. You know?
Yeah. They're just deceived into thinking that there's going to be some rapture that takes us out of here before anything bad happens.
And don't forget,
that's not what the Bible says.
What's going to happen too?
Surprise.
Yeah, they are. And don't forget that BRICS is expanding and the banks are still closing down.
They're still failing.
They're going to, the American dollar is going to tank very, very quickly. It's going to be cashless, a cashless society. We need to be ready
for the U.S. dollar to lose value.
Let's not forget about that, because everybody's looking for pestilences and wars and everything. I say, get to Walmart and buy up that toilet paper, because everybody's going to be buying it very, very soon. I'm telling my sister, I'm saying, Annie, better get to Walmart or Target and buy up some toilet paper.
Well, and that's why we talked about 2 weeks ago, I think, we were talking about being prepared and getting ready. Because, we know we can see all these things happening. And, if you don't prepare, you're going to be really sorry you didn't. If you do prepare and it doesn't happen as bad as we think it might, then you can just eat that extra food you got, and it's not going to be that big a deal.
You'll always have toilet paper. You can always use toilet paper.
You'll be glad you did. So
I'm still waiting for my bidet, though.
Yeah, then we don't need toilet paper. Right?
Yeah, please buy my bidet. Buy me a bidet. Please buy me a bidet.
Yeah. We'll talk about a squirt bottle.
We'll talk about it later.
All right, so now we're way over. It's 22 after. So
you're
let's.
The one taking us. You're the one took us
I know.
over.
It's all my fault.
I know.
So thanks everyone for being here. Let's pray real quick. Thank you, Lord, for giving us all this information, for painting these pictures for us and showing us exactly what's going to happen. We're so grateful, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Jay, Jody, Lainey, and her mom,
and John,
Paul, and Johanna, and John in Rumble.
Thanks for being here with us, and thank you all that didn't chat. It's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's perfectly fine. And all those that watch later, we love you all.
Yes, Jay said thanks for the message, guy. He says fies. See, because he types too fast.
But then he said guys.
Right here. Yeah.
It's all good.
To smash that like button.
He types fast.
Ring that.
Notification bell.
Yes. Yeah. Smash that like button.
Because I think Diane's working on part 8. They're going to.
Yeah, I think she's got to have a look. If it doesn't come out right away, she needs to take a little bit of time to do errands and do her own thing and rest.
I'm still doing the research. What I'm doing right now is I'm saving videos like for the next one when I come across it, and it's like I'm gonna need that one, so I save it.
Yeah.
Right.
So Diane's gonna be doing that, and then if you haven't noticed on my channel,
she can't see it.
I know Diane can't see this, but everybody else can. If you haven't noticed on my channel, I've been putting out videos with this AI video creator that I've been using. And so if you haven't clicked subscribe and haven't clicked the notification bell, you won't know about all these videos that I'm putting out. So do so that you won't miss.
Correct. Yes. So make sure that you smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with your friends. Yeah. Everybody, enjoy your week. Thumbs up.
And we'll see you Wednesday.
We will see you Wednesday, same time, same place. Channel. Oh, I don't want to say that.
That's Diane.
I'm not ready to say your thing. Go ahead.
know how I started this.
Oh, no. All right. Well, I love you so much, Sissy.
Don't forget, same bat time, same bat place, same bat channel.
That's right, everybody. Bye.
Love you all. God bless you.
Love you. Bye-bye.